I'm Corey Carlton, one of the co-founders with Both Hands Financial Group, and I appreciate you wanting to learn more about things that you need to know that you probably don't, especially with a little one on the way. And just so you know, again, I'm in the same boat you are. I have a toddler and one on the way, and here's a picture of my lovely wife and my little girl Harper. Don't have a picture of the next one yet unless you want to look at a sonogram, just Google that one. But what I'm going to focus on today is talking about a few things that myself and the other advisors that I work with, things that we know that you don't, that are important when it comes to planning for your family. So my first question to you, what are your dreams for your family? What are the things that you want to make sure you do with them? Things that they have the opportunity to do. This can be things like college, retirement, extracurricular activities, travel, mission work. It can be anything. What do you want for your family? Where do you want them to live? My family and I at some point would like to have a place with land and have some animals so they can have responsibilities and learn to take care of animals. That's a thing that I want to have happen for my family. But the question I have to think about is, what if you're not around? What if I'm not around? Can those dreams still happen? So, tough question. If something happened to you today, would your family be able to have those dreams come true? So those are the things I'm going to focus on. These are the questions I'm going to answer. What happens if you're not around, and how to make these dreams come true in the event that you're not around. All right, so on to what I was talking about previously, the things that I know and the other advisors I work with know that you need to. All of your financial goals can be achieved with one financial vehicle. A lot of advisors don't know this. They recommend a slew of different options for you to take care of everything that I'm going to talk about. But there is just one financial vehicle that can actually make sure that all of these are protected and planned for. That one vehicle is permanent life insurance. And here at Both Hands Financial Group, we use permanent life insurance in ways that most people don't know or understand. And that's why you haven't heard about it, is because most of advisors don't know about this product, don't understand how it works, and don't understand how to use it for your benefit. So the first thing we're going to talk about is protection. You've got to protect a number of different things when it comes to your family. So when you're thinking about the right amount of life insurance, these are things that you have to take into consideration. Any debt. This would be student loans, car payments. This would be your mortgage as well. If something happens to your family, you want to make sure that all these debts are going to be erased so your family doesn't have to worry about continuing to pay for these things when you're gone, because at that point, your income earning has ended as well. You mean a lot to your family in a lot of different ways, but you are an income earner and you provide a lot of value to your family, especially if you're a homemaker. There's a lot of value there that can't be replaced, but you have to plan for it. So when you're thinking of your income and how you replace it, you're going to hear a lot of different things. Like people say, just multiply your income by 10. If you listen to the radio and people talk on the radio, that's probably what you're going to hear a lot of. That's not always the case. I only have one child right now with a second one on the way, so multiplying my income by 10 might make sense, but a good friend of mine has 7 kids. That's not going to work for him. So finding the right amount of life insurance, you've got to take all these things into account. Your debts, your mortgage, your income, your daily living. You've got to find the number that's right for you. And when I'm talking about daily living, most people just stop at replacing debts. And they say, well, my mortgage is $200,000. I just need a life insurance policy for $225,000. Just pay off the mortgage and put me in the ground and pay off my car. But what about the daily living expenses? What about keeping the lights on? What about putting gas in the car? Paying for insurance premiums, health insurance, home and auto, clothes for the kids. Kids grow really fast. You got to buy clothes for them often. What about some of the things your kids might be interested in, like sports, dance, music, archery, any number of things? You've got to plan and make sure that you have that type of thing figured in to make sure that your kids can continue to do the things that they love and enjoy and that you want for them even if you're not around. So when it comes to protection, it's more than just protecting your debts. You've got to replace your income and you've got to make sure your family can continue to live. Now, my philosophy is I make sure that I'm not just replacing my income for 10 or 15 years. Because 10 or 15 years for my wife is only going to get her into her 40s. So I want to make sure that if something happens to me, that she has enough money to last her lifetime. So I make sure that my life insurance face amount reflects that goal to achieve that. That's an important thing to know about when thinking of protection. The second point, future plans. What do you want for your family? Do you want your kids to go to college? A lot of us do. Do you want to be able to have your spouse retire if you're not around? Of course you do. What about weddings? I have a daughter. Tradition stipulates that I pay for that wedding. We'll see what that tradition holds up when that time comes, when she's of an appropriate age of 50 to marry. But you have to think about these things. College funding. The traditional method right now is to fund what's called a 529 plan, which has a lot of popularity and is great to save for college. That's very important. But there's a few limitations with a 529 plan. One is it has to be used for higher education. What if your kids don't go to college? If you don't use that money for higher education, one, you are going to be taxed on it and you're going to be penalized on it. A lot of college grads these days can't even get a job, and a lot of people leave high school with skills that they can go ahead and work. Just think of the tech industry right now. There's kids coming out of high school that could go and get a high-paying job because they know how to use a computer. They might not need it, or maybe they're artistic, they do music, or they dance. Whatever the case may be, they might not go to college. That might not be in their future. So why put money aside that can only be used for one thing when you can use a permanent life insurance policy to help fund that college? Because a 529 plan also, if they're applying for financial aid, can reduce the amount that they're able to receive. With a permanent life insurance policy, there's no limitations. You use it on anything that you want, whether that be tuition, books, room and board, if they need a new car, if they're going to live off campus, whatever you want, there's no gray area. It's your money, use it for what you want. And if they don't need it, if they're as smart as you and they don't need it, they just go ahead, get a job, or they get scholarships, well, you just let that money sit there, because when it comes time for retirement, you and your spouse can actually use this money to retire tax-free. Yeah, you heard me right. Retire tax-free. Right now, our national debt is near $20 trillion, and that number is only going up. We're at the lowest tax rates in history. So to combat the national debt, we either have to spend less or tax more. We're not spending less, so I don't care who's in office. Likely we're going to have to increase taxes to address that national debt and get the country in a square way. So why don't you make sure that part of your retirement can be tax-free? It's a fantastic component of this permanent life insurance to make sure that you have part of your retirement in a tax-free asset. And then weddings. I think the average cost is around $36,000-ish today. Who knows what it's going to be when my daughter's 50 and allowed to get married. But you want to make sure any future financial event, so weddings, purchasing a future car, replacing an HVAC unit, repairs to your home, you've got to take these things into account when doing your financial planning and protecting your family. It's really, really important. The third thing, healthcare costs. Now, you likely have health insurance right now, so you pay your monthly premium, you go to the doctor, but there are things that come up out of the blue that we don't plan on. Things like an accident, a critical illness, something like cancer, heart attack, stroke, being in an accident and not being able to walk or work or do any of the things that we do on a daily basis. Where are you going to get that money if you can't work? Or if you have such exuberant medical bills that you don't know what to do? You can actually use your life insurance to pay for these types of things. Perfect example, and something that's timely for you, and I don't mean to scare you, but it actually scared me, is I heard of one of the advisors I work with, a client of theirs. She was having her third child in her 30s, suffered a stroke a day after giving birth to their third child. Couldn't work for 6 months. Thankfully, she had a life insurance policy that allowed them to accelerate a portion of the death benefit to cover the amount of money they needed to stay in their home and to pay all their bills. As devastating as that event was, they were able to stay in their home and continue life as best possible until she was able to recuperate. And that's because the life insurance was able to provide a benefit they accessed during their life. So these are all the things that I know and that I've planned for, and I know my family's taken care of. And I want to make sure that you know them too, and now you do. So now it's time to take what you've learned and actually put a plan into action for it. So I've talked about a number of different things, and one of the most beautiful and pivotal things about life insurance is all of these things that you plan for: future, college, retirement. Life insurance will make sure that it all happens if you don't make it to that point. Life insurance is the only self-completing asset to make sure that your family can have those dreams that you have for them and make sure they come true. I appreciate your time. Feel free to reach out to us, send us an email, or give us a call, or go to our website, bothhandsfg.com, and we'll be happy to schedule a free consultation to visit with you about your family, your future, your goals and dreams.